Could you describe some of the experiences that people have with having this stuff removed? Some of the sensations that they may feel?
Well, sensations are very key because that's way you as participant know that this is something being released,
Yeah.
and there's a sensation of release in these processes of what we're talking here in shape is four consecutive heroic dose sessions in 4 different days. So this is something that is some if nothing happens on the first day, definitely on the second or the third is gonna because that these entities are very embedded and entrenched in your subconscious, and most of the time, the first day is basically uh, releasing some of the anchors that these entities have in your mind, in your subconscious, and then you have to hammer them for a couple of days and until it finally, with other techniques, with the Tibetan techniques, uh, it's not only the experience of the psilocybin, but also the techniques of the extraction. And when the extraction happens, the sensation in the participant is like total relief, and you feel like how the faces changes, uh, your body language changes, and you feel like a new person. And the beauty of that is that it continues uh, all the way till you go back home, and your life changes because you're no longer carrying that energy that many times are for decades and all of your life, because some of these entities come from childhood or even in your mother's womb, or they have generational transference. There's a diversity of situations where these entities uh, end up in your subconscious.
Yeah. But I think one of the big ones that you mentioned is it's almost like our emotional wounds or our emotional pain. It's almost like a
Definitely,
doorway. It's like
definitely,
a doorway for them to come into
definitely. The moment of trauma is the one source that brings more of these entities.
than
Uh,
anything else. Yeah.
so yes, definitely, and that mostly in the womb, the traumas of your mother when you were there, and the first years of life.
Yeah.
Uh, it's because when if you follow the Native American spiritual tradition, that they talk about soul, that you lose your soul, and there's a ritual of soul retrieval. Uh, there's a notion that in the moment of trauma, the soul to protect itself from pain, it leaves you for a moment during the trauma event because it's very painful, and the soul is very sensitive, and it departs from you, and this is the moment where the entities come in because they are not guarded. It's the moment of this your conscious, your personality is fractured, and it's a moment of craziness. It's a moment of irrationality. It's a moment where the soul departs for a brief moment, and this is when and it comes back. But it's too late. It's already installed itself
Well,
into
wouldn't
your subconscious.
also don't wouldn't we also lose little bits of our soul as well because they are parasites? So aren't they there as well to try to drain bits of our energy too?
You never lose your soul. I mean, there's something called the soul retrieval, like it's not totally embodied, but it's still
That's
around.
what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still around you. But what happens is that the entities displace uh, your soul,
Yeah.
uh, and that's why when they displace it completely, this is the example of this uh, a, a demonic possession that we described earlier, that you're totally possessed and you kill people or kill yourself, or your
Yeah.
soul is not there. It is total possession.
Well,
So
you look at
it's a matter of degrees.
absolutely. And you look at the very seriously depressed people, they always how do they always describe themselves as feeling very empty inside, feeling very numb. They don't feel anything except for the sadness and pain and stuff like that. And then they
True.
get those horrific thoughts of doing self-harm or whatever it is.
Yes. True. true. Depression and most psychological and psychiatric conditions are parasites and demons. The mental health institutions is full of good people troubled with these spirits.
Yeah. Um,
But
would
science is so alien to finding a rational approach to heal those that there's no remedy but to institutionalize them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the way that it's always been treated as spiritual problems for thousands of years up until the last century.
Right, right,
Then we
right,
have this shift to pills and all big pharma
right,
and
right.
everything.
Yeah,
It's nonsense.
that's the problem with psychology. Psychology comes from the psyche, which is a ancient Greek myth of psyche, and it's a soul,
Yeah.
and it's like a butterfly. It's the things that flies around. It's your soul, and psychology is the study of the soul. So what happens is that once that science took over psychology, uh, with Sigmund Freud and all these pioneers, uh, as long as they continue to study the mind, they start removing attributes of the soul,
Yeah.
explaining them rationally, and putting them in something is called the mind. So mind this so now intuition is one of the few that still remains in the realm of the soul. But certainty and other attributes of the mind were originally domiciled in the psyche. But psychology, if you write a paper as a psychologist, as a doctoral thesis in a university today, and you speak about the soul, it's going to be rejected. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a forbidden word in psychology, when psychology is, in fact, the study of the soul. But
Yeah.
this is the irony of modern science with the mind and the
I feel
soul.
like that's almost criminal because I feel like you can study spirituality and the soul in a scientific way. There is a lot of cause and effect relationships that I'm sure that all your years of expertise that you've really dealt with and have seen those causal relationships over and over again with your patients, right?
Right, right.